Welcome back to the KIX 96.5 morning show. 31 minutes past the hour. We love featuring indie artists on the morning show, and today we're heading to Washington, D.C. to chat with pop artist Luke Justin Roberts, or LJR as he's known. Luke's getting ready for some summer concerts. He also has LJR Creative. He just finished a new music video. He also has a single coming out this summer. We're excited to have LJR on the show. First, Luke, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Jeff, for having me so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, music's in the family. Your dad's a guitarist. Both of your brothers are in music. You started with the drums, though, Luke. Was that because no one was a drummer? How did it all start?
That was actually because my dad played guitar, and my older brother started playing guitar because my dad was playing. And so I was thinking, oh, man, like now I have to learn something. It actually wasn't something I was like, oh, I want to. So I just literally picked what I perceived as the easiest thing. I didn't want to learn all the complex fingerings and guitar and piano and all that stuff. I was just like, I can hold a stick and I can just hit stuff. Like that's all drums is, was what I thought at that time. So that's how I became a drummer. And I still maintain it. It seems to me to be the easiest, but maybe that's just me, because a lot of other people seem to have a lot easier time to know stuff that's harder for me.
Yeah, I think that's perception, but it is fun to pound on stuff. Well, you were, around 19, you entered this Yobi Sings contest?
Yeah, actually, I was, 2010, so I was 19 or 20 in college, and I don't even know how I found it. There was just some link online that I had looked. Maybe I looked up songwriting competitions. It's called Yobi Sing. And you can't actually really find anything about it now. The creators seem to have scraped as much of the internet clean of it as possible. There's a couple of random references. But yeah, I won like $18,000 and 2 tickets to the Grammys. They flew us out there. We got to, meet a bunch of people. We met like Marky Ramone from the Ramones on the way back. There were a lot of like really fun things that happened on that trip. So it's really, really interesting. And ironically, they made me the host the next year. So I was like doing all the videos, introducing like potential people, which was fun. And guess who was like one of the contestants for that?
Who?
Charlie Puth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so we were actually like Facebook friends for like a very brief time. And he wrote on my wall before he was famous. It was like, what's up, Luke Roberts? And I wish that I had like fostered that friendship more. I just had no idea. But he was my favorite entry of that year for sure. So he didn't win. It was all based on like votes and stuff, but he definitely won overall. So
yeah, he definitely won in the grand scheme of life. Well, I mean, that was like 30,000 people. You win that thing. You had to be on a high. Did you just think that your career was going to blow up after that?
Honestly, I didn't. At that time, I wasn't really trying to do music full time. My older brother Daniel really wanted to do music full time with me and my younger brother, but I wasn't really like set on that. I was kind of still caught up in the narrative of like, it's super difficult to do music full time. And I wasn't really super passionate about it at the time in terms of like, this is what I want to do for a career. I was actually pursuing my PhD in engineering at the University of Maryland, kind of through, I went to undergrad at UMBC first and then went to do my PhD at grad school at Maryland after in robotics and like these flapping wing miniature aerial vehicles. So like programming a robotic bird to like fly itself around and do flips and dives and stuff, which was cool. But it just took me a lot longer until I was about 26 to really figure out like, actually, I don't want to do this. I'm not happy. My life's not better doing this. Let me switch to something I actually love. And that's when I decided, you know what, it's really music and creating art. And that became, some film and video as well.
Yeah, we mentioned LJR Creative. He's got that. We'll talk about that. But yeah, so 26, that was going to be my next thing. How did the corner turn to go back to music? Was there something specific or just, I'm not going to be an engineer?
Well, there was kind of a conglomeration of things. A lot of people have like their quarter life crisis, right? And it kind of hit me as I was in grad school that there were a number of things that happened for me. I grew up with a family that it seemed like wonderful and perfect, and kind of discovered there were a lot of like big issues that we really needed to like work on, and that kind of all came to a head at that point. So my family felt like he was really falling apart. I was with a girl that I thought we were going to get married, and we did not. We broke up. So that kind of destroyed everything there. I grew up really religious, but my faith experience growing up wasn't actually healthy for me. So all my faith was like unraveling at that time as well. So I was losing the whole foundation of, what it meant for me to have a sense of security and knowledge about, what the world is, what my purpose and meaning was. And on top of that, I was in a PhD program, for mechanical engineering, and that's like really hard stuff.
Yeah,
so
it's not easy.
There's a ton of pressure, on me and all that stuff. And what it did was, in the midst of all that, my older brother was, a huge part of encouraging me to just think about like, what do you actually want? And like start choosing intentionally, because I was choosing for most of my life up until that point, largely what other people had wanted for me, and kind of all of the craziness of everything at one time really pushed me into a state of enough chaos that I needed to do something different and change things. And he pushed me to say to just look at music as a real option. And I did, and it took me a number of years to like actually make that the real thing. But yeah, ever since then, I've really been on a path to focus on doing music and art, because I realized like there's this podcast that had this quote that really changed my life. It went like this: they said, "Don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, because what the world needs is more people who've come alive." And that really stuck with me. And for me, that was creating art, empowering people, and building meaningful relationships. So I just decided from that point forward, whatever I did personally or professionally, need to fit within that.
Yeah, and be happy. On your Instagram, if you go check him out on his Instagram, Luke Justin Roberts, it says right there, pop artist who lost God and talks about it. And you do, Luke. You have a lot of videos on there giving your views. What is the family, are you still close with the family? What do they think?
Yeah, so we actually all kind of migrated out of that world together, which kind of makes us a little bit of a unicorn family, because I know a lot of my friends who also came from super, like, very, very religious backgrounds or fundamentalist type of things. Their parents did not. Their parents were kind of more committed to a particular set of ideals, and oftentimes a sense of a feeling of safety and needing to have that security. And I think a lot of people don't realize that that's what's going on, but oftentimes they're really dedicated to that, and they're unwilling to even consider something else that might be true. And this can be really difficult for the parents and the kids, because then, there's just like this huge strain where like the parents, if they're still religious, are just really worried about the eternal salvation of their kids, right? Yeah. But the kids are just like, that doesn't matter, right? Like that's not even real. It's like this huge disconnect, and it creates a lot of distance. And so I definitely got really lucky there that my family, is not there anymore. It's not like we were there for each other while we were all processing out. We had, our own issues that definitely kind of prevented us from feeling a sense of closeness enough that we could actually do that together or really support each other very much. But now we're able to, process through some more of that and talk about it. And that I've really appreciated a lot.
Yeah, that's good. Go check him out. Luke Justin Roberts. He's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Patreon. He's everywhere. June 11th, he's going to be in Bel Air, Maryland at a wine fest. He's got a couple other dates, but go and follow him. When I was researching you, I was like, well, Need a Little Lovin' came out like a year ago. I was like, well, what happened? What was going on? You were involved in an ATV accident, Luke. Tell us what happened? You have a huge gash on your head. It didn't look good.
Man, yeah, you've got a lot of research. It's almost like you have an inside man or woman.
Yeah,
that's excellent. I actually was I started dating this girl a couple years ago, and her family lives in Montana, and so we went out there for July 4th. And so we were like doing these ATVs on a reservation, because her family, is part Native, and it was beautiful. It was awesome, and I got way too confident. And this was like the one time doing something like this, I was not wearing a helmet, which was like so dumb, and I just wish that I had made a different choice. But I ended up, there's this straightaway, and I was just going real fast, and I thought like maybe I can hit like 40 or I don't know, something like that. And I don't even remember anything after that. I remember like little bits of like trying to control the ATV as it started to kind of flip, but I think I hit my head pretty soon after kind of the first couple of like wobbles that happened. So I think what happened was the front two wheels, I don't know, something crazy. I don't really remember it.
Wow.
I do remember kind of seeing myself stand up like I was 10 feet away, and that was kind of a weird experience. They took me to the hospital. I walked in, which was bad because I didn't know this, but I had a fractured hip, which they discovered on the CAT scan. And then I had to get like this titanium rod and screw a couple of them into my hip, and they just took that out like literally like a couple months ago. And I'm feeling way better. I can finally start to run again. So I'm really excited to kind of get back into it. Yeah, but yeah, it's a lot of why there hasn't been very much action on my online music content. But we're ramping up now. I've got a single coming out at the end of June or early July. Going to release that on Spotify. On Spotify, my artist name is LJR. So that's the easiest way to find me on there. It's called Insecure. I'm really pumped about it. It's probably one of my favorite songs. It's got a very like Steve Winwood, Toto kind of feel, which are definitely some of my favorite inspirations from when I was a kid.
Yeah. Wow. Well, where were you at in Montana? Because we're just south of Montana.
Oh, that's awesome. We were up in Bab. Her family's in Missoula.
Okay. So you were up north.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, make sure you wear a helmet when you're on an ATV.
Totally. Totally. Dude, I've rode ATVs before, and this was the one time I didn't, but it's all good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're LJR Creative. You just dropped a new music video for Wild Whispers, this Purple Mountains video.
Oh, yeah. How'd you like that?
It was awesome.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been really fun. LJR Creative is like my business entity that I use to run all of my music stuff through. And it's also a video production company. So I shoot music videos for other artists. And we focus mainly on like live performance videos, like shooting concerts. And I'll shoot like the whole thing with like one of those fancy stabilizer camera things that shoot the whole thing in just one moving take. So it's heavy and it's a lot of manual work, but then I have like really cool shots for the whole night. And then we host our own events where we kind of give artists like a 45-minute slot to come in and shoot as many videos as they want. And that allows us to get a lot of artists in on that day. And then we can charge like a super low cost, per video. So artists can actually get super high quality, but actually affordable content. So that's been really cool.
Yeah, they're like $250 for the first video. I was like, wow, that's super cheap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then less after that. We wanted to make it so that artists could actually have like a feasible way to release at least one piece of content per month that's super high quality to make sure that they're always, growing their fan base.
Yeah. You and Eli Lev's part of Wild Whispers. You guys have some rabid fans. You're doing these live stuff on Facebook, Instagram. Aunt, who listens to the show, she's in Deposit, New York. I think that LJR has to hide in a bunker because of your rabid fans. How did it all start, Luke? Was it the live streams? I mean, you're an attractive guy. You're interactive. What?
Thanks, man. So I actually got connected with a company called Modern Musician through Eli. Eli connected with them, and they basically do like automated music marketing for artists, and it's like a high ticket coaching program. So it's expensive, but it's super worth it. And they help you set up an automated music marketing system that will put ads for your music in front of the right people on different social platforms. And then they can listen to your music and sign up for your email list, texting list, and then join like a private community where you can connect more with them. And I've done a lot of music marketing stuff over the years, taken a lot of courses. And this is the one thing that's actually delivered on like real fans that stay engaged. I mean, Antoinette has been a massive fan for like, years now. And she's been there since pretty much the start of when I started doing that marketing. And there's been a number of other people. It's been really transformational for me to see that kind of thing is even possible. I mean, they did these wonderful things when I moved into a new apartment a couple of years ago. It was my first time like living on my own, which was really exciting. And but I didn't have like all the furniture and like kitchen stuff, and I was just shopping in Target and just live streaming. And everybody wanted to buy stuff for me. They wanted me to put together a registry, so I did, and they bought like tons of stuff on there. And Antoinette even like bought me a couch, which is epic. Like she PayPal'd me $400.
Wow!
To get a couch, which is amazing, and it was the coolest couch I ever got. And then like this last year for my birthday, my friend Jake organized like a secret fundraiser with my fans to buy an Oculus Rift headset for me so I could try mess around with VR and stuff. And so there's, so that's kind of how all that happened. the system works awesome to bring in new fans. And then the key thing is from there, just like doing the regular engagement inside of like a Facebook group or Discord server, somewhere where your fans get just more access to you, and you just engage with them. You might sing some songs, you talk with them, answer questions, give updates on what's happening. You just show like a real human connection and make yourself more available, because people really want that. They want that form of connection.
Yeah, and I mean, after a while, they know more than you. I mean, you post a video of you sitting in your car, your dog's in the back seat. They're commenting about your dog. I mean, it's insane. Yeah, man.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, there's things that, Antoinette remembers about all the videos that I don't remember, and I'd have to go back and be like, oh, yeah, that is in there, isn't it,
Yeah, I didn't even see that, but, yeah, they see it. Your girlfriend, I don't know. She must not be jealous.
Yeah, so far she's not been jealous. I mean, she definitely doesn't want any sort of the limelight, like, at all, so I work really hard to keep, her separate out of everything, which I totally respect and understand. I think it is one of those things where sometimes, like, when the fans will do certain things that are just like so abnormal and so unexpected for my girlfriend, that can make her a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. So then we'll just have a conversation and kind of talk it through, and then kind of see how we feel after that. And that's been a good way of kind of working through some of that stuff. But I've been really hardcore about like not giving out my actual current address.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, I need to get a P.O. box again. That was my solution before, but I haven't had one of those in a while.
Yeah, get a P.O. box. He's living in a bunker right now. Go check him out, Luke Justin Roberts. He's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Go and join his Patreon. You get all the behind-the-scenes stuff of LJR. I mean, you're with Eli. You've been interactive with a lot of different artists. You just did a songwriter summit. How's it been interacting with other people? And you're collaborating with people. That's got to be kind of cool and help along with your career.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is to stay in collaboration with people in the industry, whether that's other artists or other creative types that are kind of also super key in making any sort of artist career happen. I mean, I've been trying to get together some collabs for some new songs I've been writing. So some of that stuff is, hopefully going to come out. That'll probably be like next year, because I've got this rest of this album I'm trying to get out this year. But those are huge. And there's a lot of reasons for why that matters. I mean, if you release a song with another artist, there's a way that you can release it through your distributor like DistroKid, where if you put both you and them as the main artist, and you basically, to do that, you have to set up another artist that's like your name and then the ampersand sign, and then the other artist, and it basically makes both of you it makes this a primary release on both your Spotifys. That means that now, if the other person has 200,000 monthly listeners, it's going to be pushed to all of them as a new song that's by that artist, instead of you just kind of featuring them on your release, which doesn't actually put it on the main discography of their Spotify. Maybe I'm getting a little bit too nerdy here, but basically what that means is that your release really gets pushed to all their fans on Spotify, instead of like a small subset that like are really hardcore that just look at everything on their Spotify page. So actually everybody will see that. So that's a huge way to do the collabs. But the other thing is like, and I think a lot of artists miss this, which is really key, is making sure that you're building connections with other players in the industry outside of just the artists, because knowing mixing engineers or producers or videographers or, booking agents, and learning that world so you can be in charge of the business aspects of your music, where, people don't just look at you as a musician, because when people look at you as a musician, they normally, there's like a whole ton of other very bad associations that go along with that you don't want. Like, you're not smart, you're not going to promote yourself, you're entitled, all this kind of stuff. And that's the worst thing it can do. So you want to make sure that you really understand the business side of things so that you can really craft shows and offers and stuff like that for the other team players, where you're building a team by providing a lot of value and not just kind of asking for, cool shows and stuff like that when you might not have as much to give in return as a smaller artist.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea, because you get your single out there, you push it on two different people than one person, or if they got more followers, or that's really awesome. And you've been rapping. Well, you just had a video. You're rapping, so somebody's playing something, and you're rapping, doing some hip hop now.
Well, that was more of like an experimentation. It wasn't really something that I planned to like go into necessarily. I always like, since I was a kid, I loved Toby Mac. He was one of my favorite artists as a kid. And so he would always do these raps in DC Talk, which was one of my, favorite bands. And we would learn those, and we'd rap them in youth group and stuff like that on stage in front of all the other, 300 kids that were all there on the outreach, Friday nights and stuff. And, so I just always thought it was really fun. And then I just saw this guy do like some sort of competition. And I just thought and he was like, rap over this thing. And I was like, why not? Let me just like do something fun, creative. This is totally outside what I would normally do. And I probably won't do anything like it again for a long time. So let me just like jump into sort of a different creative niche and just see, what comes out. And I'd written this rap a while ago that I thought like might work for that. That was kind of about, some of my experience with the loss of faith, and just thought, let me just do this and put it out there. And that's kind of all that is.
Yeah, something fun, but something fun and interesting that get some people to watch it on his Facebook page. Go and check him out, Luke Justin Roberts. He's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Patreon. June 11th, he's going to be in Bel Air, Maryland, and he also has a new single, Insecure, coming out at the end of June, beginning of July. You're heading to Italy in August. You've been doing all kinds of traveling. What's the coolest? Were you in Ireland? Where were you last?
Yeah, Ireland. Man, you really do know like so many details. I'm so impressed. I was in Ireland for a friend's wedding. That was really fun. We got to kind of go all around, see some really cool places. That was my first time being in Europe, which I really enjoyed. Totally also absolutely hate driving on the other side of the road. That's terrible. Do not recommend. We also got in super late. We did some type of basically like an overnight. So we got there at like 5 a.m. their time. Yeah. And then we had to drive like 3 hours, on the opposite side of the road using a stick shift. And I'm good with stick shifts, but I also didn't realize that you're on the opposite side of the car, which means that your stick shift is on your left now instead of on your right, because they manufacture the cars differently. You're sitting in what's normally the passenger side as you're driving. So that was scary because we were pretty tired when we got there, and about 10 minutes into driving, I totally end up on the wrong side of a highway, and all of a sudden there's because I'm trying to take a right-hand turn, and there's all these cars that are have their headlights just pointed directly at me, and they're coming at me. And I'm like, oh my god! It was, and I was so tired. It was so disorienting and terrifying. And thankfully, there was no accident. We were fine. But we. It definitely felt like we almost died. And on the plus side, I did get enough adrenaline, and so did my girlfriend, to completely stay awake for the entire rest of that whole 3-hour trip. And from then on out, we were just really careful about every turn, checking things 5 times to make sure we were going the right direction, and going a little bit farther over if we were turning right or whatever, all that kind of stuff, because everything's reversed and it's weird. Yeah,
I had the same thing. I was in Ireland this past summer. My brother-in-law had a meltdown when he first got into the car. He had a panic attack because he was freaking out, because you're shifting with your left hand. It's crazy. Well, Luke Justin Roberts, go and check him out. Need a Little Lovin' Part 3. You said the rest of the album's coming, so that's good. The other 9 chapters are on their way, or so all 12 are coming. Need a Little Lovin'. Tell us a little bit about the song real fast, Luke.
Yeah, so Need a Little Lovin' is a song that I wrote about a relationship I was in, where I was really becoming aware of my contributions to a codependent relationship, where I was basically discovering I was desperately needing and wanting this love, from a partner, but I also wasn't really able to show up at the commitment level that was really kind of required for that love, at least not with the kind of people I was dating, because they tended to be a little bit older, because that was who I would connect with. So I ended up in this situation where I really wanted this love and acceptance and connection, but also felt myself distancing as soon as I got it, because I felt kind of caged in by that. So that's kind of what this song is about. So, and it's also featuring Gurpreet Serene, who is on American Idol. He was my roommate through college, and he was on American Idol singing in I think it was 2009 or something like that. But he's amazing. He's a Sikh, and he's got this gorgeous North Indian classically trained voice, and he plays tabla on it as well. So
Awesome. Well, here it is. Need a little lovin'. LJR. Luke, thanks so much, buddy, for coming on.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it, man.
It's KIX 96.5.